the data shows something, but the data also doesn't tell me the full answer. And I'm going, why is that? It's now empty, and normally it was full. That meant there's no demand in the network. Oh well, it's it's a fun kind of profession in that it's not like I wake up in the morning and go, I've been thinking about this idea and I wonder if this will work. Sometimes that happens, but it seldom creates results. Usually what happens is, as an investor and a speculator myself, I'm constantly looking at these charts, and I'm constantly looking at the normal charts that I look at, and whenever I see something out of the norm, I get curious, and then I'll have to look at some other metric that tries to. So it's like this was true like maybe 4 years ago. It was like I'm looking at some data, and because I'm like trying to figure out how to invest better, and like the data shows something, but the data also doesn't tell me the full answer, and I'm going, why is that? And I'm trying to answer a question, so I go and look at something else, and then that you dig into it, you flesh that out, you understand that, or try to, and then that might open another question. So it's just my experience of it is a complete journey of like curiosity and trying to figure out answers to anomalies that may be happening. So that's one. Often it's market driven as well, because someone on Twitter is talking about this thing right now, and then you need to like kind of look into it and see, is it true or not. I think of the last 3 days, people have been saying it's bearish because the activity in the network's dropped out. The mempool's empty. Like this kind of cache of where all the transactions queue up before being processed is now empty, and normally it was full. It meant there's no demand in the network, and so like there was arguments. I think Plan B, another prominent analyst, was saying it's he put up one of my charts, which was the adoption of SegWit, this technology that was implemented years ago, which adds efficiency to the network. Yeah, that's right. It was very, very controversial. And then one of the wallet companies decided that they would no longer hold out and adopt it now in 2021. And so the adoption of SegWit boosted up to 80% from previously around the 50s. And so suddenly the network is now 80% optimized for transactional throughput. And so the transactions emptied. That was one theory, and like, so you have all these discussions, you end up going back to the data and trying to prove a point. And it's a learning exercise, and sometimes you get a signal out of it. Like, I found like a couple of years ago that the mempool was actually interesting to look at. That queue of transactions that pile up, if you look at that, is...
By the way, the mempool is the transactions that have yet to be processed, that have been submitted, but have not yet been aggregated onto a block, for people who may not know.
That's correct. Yeah, it's the waiting room. And so you look at the waiting room and you see when it's empty versus when it's full. And it's very seldom that you see a Bitcoin rally begin when the mempool's full. It nearly always happens when the mempool's empty. So that's a nice signal. And of course there's reasons for it, because a lot of the volume is on the network is driven by speculation. And when things are volatile, there's more transactions on the network. When the whole thing dies down because there's not much volatility, not good environment for trading, then there's not a lot of transactional demand, and you'll see the mempool empty. And in those lulls, they are part of the That's the equivalent of Bitcoin's low volatility signal. In traditional markets, you look at low volatility as an area in which you can expect a very large breakout afterwards, a volatility squeeze. Bitcoin also has the mempool squeeze. So yeah, that I've never discussed that before publicly before, but that's another example where you can look at different aspects of the network because this machine behaves according to investors and speculators in many different ways. And there's so many things you can look at and try and figure out whether there's signal in it. And it's driven by fundamental behavior.